Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Nick, and I'm on the Vancouver Startup Week team. Before we begin, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are grateful to be virtually gathered here today on the Indigenous lands of the Coast Salish peoples, regardless of where you are joining us from. I'm grateful to be here on the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish peoples. Unceded means these territories were never handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and currently we are situated on occupied territories. Next, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us for Vancouver Startup Week 2021, and welcome to the session here today with Beacon HR, session Social Media, Getting Noticed and Getting Hired. If you have any questions for our speakers, please just post them in the Q&A on the Whova session, and you can also upvote questions if you see anything that you like. So I'll now pass the mic over to Beacon HR, and we'll begin the session.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. And before we jump in, we just want to extend our thanks to the Vancouver Startup Week team. We are so excited to participate again this year. It was a treat that it was coming in May, and we've got lots of good stuff for you. So thanks to the whole VSW team. We appreciate you. We appreciate the work you're doing, and the schedule looks awesome. So we're excited for a great week ahead. We have an hour together, and we will do our very best to leave at least 10 or 15 minutes for questions at the end. If anything comes to mind right away, feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll be monitoring that as well. But what we would really love for you to walk away with today is 1, actionable steps to help you level up your social profiles. 2, we want to give you the inside scoop as to what recruiters like us are actually looking for in candidates and job seekers. And 3, we want to give you some insight into some of the top growing organizations locally. So before we jump in, I'll give you a quick intro to who we are and what we get up to at Beacon HR. We get to help growing companies attract, hire, and retain diverse, high-performing teams. We're coming up on our 4th year in business, which is super exciting. And we get to partner with some really incredible companies, a bunch that you may have heard of, like Thinkific and Later, and then some really exciting up-and-comers. The big news this week was Dooley just secured their massive Series B on the tail of their another huge Series A funding round. We work with companies like Netcoins in the crypto space, which is really exciting. We work with Clarius Mobile Health, with Alpha Insight. So some of these companies you'll probably see pop up over the course of the next week, but make sure to go check them out. We think they're we're a little biased, but we think they're fantastic. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself as well. So I'm a recruiter through and through. I love all things talent acquisition. Recruiting is absolutely my life, or at least my professional life anyway. Personally, I'm originally from North Vancouver. I went to UBC. I did an exchange term in Sweden where I lived for 6 months. It was amazing. I came back, I graduated, I got into the staffing agency world, and I spent my first 3 years of my career there. I absolutely loved it. It was the best training ground ever. But then when I went into some in-house, or rather to work as an in-house recruiter for some Vancouver-based, very fast-growing tech companies, I saw that the traditional approach to staffing was broken. So from there, I spent the next several years of my career really dreaming up how I would fix this and how my approach to recruitment and HR would be different. So fast forward, as I mentioned, it's been 4 years. We've got team members in Vancouver, Kelowna, and Ontario. This is some of my career highlights so far. I got to record a podcast for Indeed. I got to go to World Employer Branding Day in Lisbon, pre-apocalypse, of course. And then this is Kira, who I'm going to pass it over to shortly, who will lead you through most of the talk today. But Kira and we got to take a sailing crash course. And then on the right, I was supposed to be my big vacation right when COVID started, was supposed to be Portugal, but instead I went to Prince George, which is where my boyfriend is from. So this is me standing in a field in Prince George, pretending I'm somewhere very exotic. And that's a little bit about me. I absolutely love what I do and really excited to share some hot tips with you. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Kira, and then I will see you again for the Q&A. Kira, over to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Nicole. So hi, everybody. My name is Kira. I am the People Operations Manager at Beacon, where I've been for just over 3.5 years now. I was also born and raised here in Vancouver, and I've lived here my whole entire life. Absolutely love it. And I've been working in people and culture for the past 9 years now. And much like Nicole, I also started my career in an agency setting, working for a staffing agency that specialized in hourly recruitment. From there, I dabbled in the payments industry before I landed at an alcohol e-commerce company where I got to wear many different hats. But that was one of my first bigger in-house roles, which was really exciting and really fun. Of course, dealing with a controlled substance in a slightly unionized environment is always engaging and entertaining for us who do recruitment and HR. From there, I moved over to Beacon HR, where I've been ever since. I get to work with amazing client partners like Nicole had mentioned, like Dooley and Later, where I get to help them solve their recruitment, engagement, and retention problems every single day. In the before times, I really enjoyed traveling, so I included a couple travel pics of myself, including feeding a giraffe in Arizona and one from Malibu. Well, we're really excited to be here today, so we're just gonna jump on in. So first thing we're gonna talk about today is social media. It's really why we're here today. And I wanna share with you why it's so important on a couple levels. One from the view of the job seeker such as yourself, and then also from an organizational or an employer standpoint, so you can see kind of behind the scenes what we are thinking about. So for you as the job seeker, this is why it's important to you. Little do you know, or maybe you do know, companies may check out your social platforms during the recruitment process, and they don't have to let you know that they're doing this, which seems a little unethical, but if we can search it and we can find it, it's available on the internet, it's fair game. And beyond just a simple Google search, companies actually have specialized tools now that they can use to scrape the internet for those social profiles. So first tip of the day is clean them up or lock them right down. So that's real important. And we'll get into that a little bit further on how you can handle that. I have a question in the chat. Nicole, are you in there as well? Awesome. Okay, so question for you all. Who here has heard of the term culture ad? And if you have, pop a yes into the chat. Excellent. So things are shifting in the recruitment world as they constantly are. And now organizations are looking for a team member who's going to join them who's a culture ad and not so much a culture fit anymore. So for those of you who haven't heard of what culture ad is, it's honestly exactly what it sounds like. An organization wants to see if you not only reflect their organization's values and professional ethics, but they also want to see what you bring to the table in terms of diverse opinions, experiences, and specialized skills, because this enables them to enhance their team and the overall company culture. Also, in a remote first, highly digital world where we may not have the luxury of meeting in person, pandemic or not, being able to see what your life is like during your 5 to 9, aka outside of your 9 to 5, is increasingly important. Finally, social media is good for you because you may find out faster that they are hiring at their organization. So you'll want to follow their hashtags, follow their leaders. If you're not, checking their careers page every day, again, you might see faster on social media than anywhere else. So as an organization, This is from the employer standpoint, and here's where you're going to get the inside edge or scoop on what top organizations are doing with their social media and why. So this is the work that Nicole and I get to do every single day. So some of the things we're seeing at these top organizations we get to partner with are a day in the life. You'll see organizations sharing out what it's like to work there. It could be a specific department, a specific role, but they want to give you that inside scoop so you know what to expect on your first day, first month, first year there. This also really allows you to see if you can see yourself working there. You can ask yourself, is this the type of day I want to have with this specific organization? Again, it allows you to see if you're in alignment with their mission, their vision, and their values. This is important at any size of the organization, but very much so we see this at earlier stage or scale up organizations because they want you to be bought in to their mission. So ask yourself, are you on board for their mission? Finally, the consumerization of the job search. So again, the recruitment world is changing, the war for talent is changing all the time. So from your perspective as the job seeker, we're finding it more and more so that you are treating the job hunt like you're shopping, much more of like a consumer-based approach. You're doing your research, you want to know what's going on, you want to see how great it is to work for a top organization. So that's what they're trying to give to you because they want you to apply, they want you to work for them. Okay, the first social platform we're gonna take a look at today is Instagram. So who here has an Instagram account? And if you do, pop a yes into the chat. Excellent. Okay, great.
We're getting so far mostly yeses, Kira.
Mostly yeses. Okay, excellent. Okay, follow-up question here. So who would want a recruiter like Nicole or I, or a prospective employer looking at their Instagram account right now, right this very second? If so, put a yes into the chat.
Can you repeat the question, Kira? Who is not a recruiter?
Yes. Okay. So who here, job seekers, would want a prospective employer or recruiter like myself looking at your Instagram account right now to see if you're a fit for our organization? I'm assuming there's a few less yeses.
Yeah, we have Angus says it wouldn't be the worst. We've got yeses. Henrik says I wouldn't mind.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, for those of you who aren't on Instagram, honestly, now is the time to join. There's over 1 billion users worldwide. So this platform is definitely one you should be utilizing and leveraging on a regular basis. Okay, so for those of you who might not want us to take a look at your Instagram account or think this might not be the best thing or the worst thing right now, be prepared. It's gonna happen. So as I mentioned previously, organizations and recruiters, we have tools at our disposal that enables us to find and review your social media platforms. So clean it up or lock it down. So if you're gonna go the route of clean it up, I would highly recommend infusing your own personal brand and aesthetic to it. You can have that carry over into your resume, your cover letter, your reference sheet too. This shows people and employers why you would be a culture add to their organization. Again, remember that difference between culture add versus culture fit. You can also use Instagram to follow organizations and or thought leaders in and amongst them. Engage with them. They notice. So like, comment, share their posts. They get a little notification every time you do so, and it shows that you are actively engaging and really liking their content. Also, you just think we care about what you post on Instagram. I hate to say it, but you're wrong. We're also curious as to who you follow, as that gives us an insight into who you are as an individual and what you might value. So again, on that route of clean it up or lock it down, maybe take a look to see who you're following and see, would you want us to maybe take a look? The other piece you can do is follow hashtags, and I've got some examples for you in a bit. could be ones of specific organizations, could be popular ones related to job searches. So hot ones right now are like hashtag job seekers, hashtag remote work, for example, or to the specific field or industry you're in. Sharing on your profile is also really important. Some people really struggle as to what they should share these days. So if you're attending a virtual conference these days, such as Vancouver Startup Week, share about it in your story. You don't know who could reshare it or see it. Again, the power of those hashtags go really, really far. There's also Instagram TV. Use this to share your subject matter expertise with the world. It's really interesting content you can put out. It's really engaging and lets us be able to see who you're like. Of course, you know, if you don't want to record a video of yourself talking, I don't blame you. I don't entirely enjoy it myself. But what is fun also is making reels. So you can give that a go and see what fun you can have with it. And it's also an easy way to gain exposure. Again, I won't repeat this, I will keep repeating this, but don't forget about the power of a hashtag. So here are some good examples of organizations locally that are using their Instagram profiles to attract job seekers. So one of them is Thinkific. This is their Dogs of Thinkific account. They are very dog-centric organization. This shows you a little bit as to what their culture is like. And they have a great hashtag in their About section. So hashtag Team Thinkific. If you follow that, you'll get to see when they're hiring. Another really great example locally is a digital marketing agency called Red Stamp. They are honestly really killing it with their Instagram game. As you can see, they've got some team shout outs, some team recognitions. You can see what the team is rating. Maybe we'll see one of your faces up there soon. They also highlight projects that they work on. And you can see, does the work they're doing resonate with you? Is this the type of work that you're going to want to do? You can also see what roles are open. So if you see something that catches your eye, make sure you apply. Oh, here's your first hot tip. So as I said at the start of the Instagram section, clean it up or lock it down. So if you want to keep your personal Instagram account private, that's totally cool. But you can easily create a professional Instagram account for that professional side of your life. So think of it like the Instagram version of your LinkedIn profile. Speaking of LinkedIn, we're going to talk about LinkedIn now. So who here has a LinkedIn profile? So if you do, throw a yes into the chat.
Yep, thanks, Kushal. Thanks, Christian, Deepa, Jenna. Yeah, okay, it looks like so far.
You got a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, follow-up question. So who here would want a recruiter, again, like Nicole or I, looking at your profile right now?
Ooh, we got a heck yes.
Ooh,
I
want to check yours out.
Yeah, bunch more yeses. Nice.
Woohoo. Okay, I'm loving the enthusiasm. And for those of you who may not be on LinkedIn, well, you might as well not exist from a professional point of view, to put it bluntly. And for those of you who maybe don't quite want Nicole or I taking a peek right this second, let's help you get leveled up. And those of you who really want us to take a look, maybe we've got some tips in here for you too. So help us help you. If we can't find you, it's hard to recruit you. So really take the time to optimize the heck out of your profile. Use keywords. And there's a great debate online of the buzzwords that you should or shouldn't use in your LinkedIn profile. But let me tell you, from my perspective as a person who looks for individuals such as yourself every single day, it's those keywords that help us find you. If you're ever wondering what keywords you should include, shouldn't include, take a look at some job descriptions for roles that you want and pick out the keywords that are in there, pop them as organically as possible into your LinkedIn profile, and that will help you show up higher in search results. Include a profile picture that is, I would say, semi-professional. It doesn't have to be anything too formal or too stiff, and we certainly don't need your passport photo. Definitely seen a few of those. Recommendations and skill endorsements are super important. This really helps you come up higher in our search results. Plus, we can very easily see just how great people think you are. Adding the personal touch is awesome. Add details in the about section. Again, that's a really great place to put some of those keywords in. Either write in the first person or the third person. Either doesn't actually really matter as long as it's consistent. Include your pronouns. That's a very new feature from LinkedIn. I have yet to add mine in, but I will get that done this week. And finally, you can also record how to pronounce your name. As someone who has lots of phone screens and phone chats all day long, being able to hear how someone pronounces their name is so helpful. And, you know, it gives us, again, a little bit of insight as to who you are. Some ways that you can go above and beyond. So this is taking it from the MVP level up to level 2 or 3 here. Just like Instagram has IGTV, LinkedIn has stories. It's only accessible from the mobile app, but you can post and you can share, again, establishing yourself as that subject matter expert. If you've written a great article, or maybe you have your own blog and you want to share it out with the world, you can publish an article on LinkedIn as well. They get attached to your LinkedIn profile. We can see them. They get a lot of engagement. Again, just as important as the hashtags were in Instagram, they're also equally important in LinkedIn. So if you're sharing it out, include some hashtags. And finally, besides establishing yourself as a subject matter expert, we can see very easily from these pieces why exactly we want someone just like you on one of our teams. Finally, if you're actively looking for a role, enable the open or hashtag open to work function. This really is a very easy way to show recruiters that you're open to work, and you come up even faster on our search results as well. So here's a couple examples of great employers locally who are actively hiring and how great their LinkedIn profiles are. So again, this is from the organization standpoint, so you can understand why we're doing the things that we're doing. So Dewey, they have videos on their page that show what it's like to work there. They give shout outs to their new team members who have recently joined them. Their team members are called Dooligans. So can you see yourself as a Dooligan? As Nicole mentioned, they previously raised $20 million in Series A funding, but also just raised $80 million in Series B funding. They are at the hiring fair today. So if you need a nice icebreaker to say hi, just go congratulate them on their Series B funding and they'll be very happy to chat with you. Another example locally is Talk Shop. They are in the PR space. You can go to their LinkedIn profile and see just exactly who they work with. They highlight their clients. You can sit there, you can say, are these the type of clients I want to work with? Are these the clients I want to engage with? They highlight their total rewards their total rewards program. For example, for mental health awareness, they have gotten an EEAP program called Sphere. And they also post about the roles that are open. So if PR is where you want to be, definitely give them a follow. Hot tip number 2, there's 3 total. So organizations love to see what a candidate is all about. One of the things that's really important to, I think, every employer I've worked with is continuous growth and personal development. So LinkedIn Learning, if you haven't delved into that world, it's formerly lynda.com. So when you complete a course on LinkedIn Learning, you'll have the opportunity to add a course certificate to your LinkedIn profile. You can do this from within the learning history section of your LinkedIn Learning account. And you can also send the updates to your network so they can also see you are learning, you're growing, and it keeps them top of mind for you as well. Okay, third platform we're going to chat about today is Clubhouse. So who here knows what Clubhouse is? And if you do, pop a yes into the chat. Yeah, okay, good. So for those of you who may or may not know what Clubhouse is all about, let me take a minute to fill you in. So Clubhouse is a brand new social media platform that was launched only in March of last year. And they now have just over 10 million users. So small fish compared to Instagram, but it is actively gaining popularity and growing. Currently, it is invite only, but it's an audio-based app that lets you listen in on conversations legally. And get this, you may get the opportunity to even join in on a chat, which could be terrifying, depending on the situation. So what can you do with it? And I have stolen Nicole's profile because she set it out beautifully. So what do you do with Clubhouse? So the first things first is you need to snag an invite. If you don't have an invite, I have a few extras, so let me know. I'd be happy to share a couple with you. You'll want to set up your profile, much like Nicole has done. Include a semi-professional photo of yourself and add some details. So why may someone want to engage with you? And more importantly, why may an employer who's on here want to engage with you? So I can easily see based on Nicole's profile, she's the CEO and founder of Beacon, and recruiting and building high-performing, diverse teams. So if I was someone who wanted to know more about that, I know it's an easy conversation to have with her. Start connecting with people, following others, and joining groups. And when you feel good and ready, you can head into your first room. However, before you jump into your first room, be somewhere quiet where you wouldn't mind spontaneously being called upon to join the conversation. The number of people I know who've tried to join a room or a chat while doing something maybe they shouldn't, maybe they're on the toilet, let me tell you, the number is far too high. So be somewhere quiet-ish and somewhere, if you were called upon, you wouldn't be too shy not to. So you set up your profile, then what do you do? Well, it's time to connect with some leaders in the industry, and I have a few examples for you. So VR, AR, 3D is a really big growing industry here in Vancouver. So you could join the Vancouver VR, AR, and 3D group. There are weekly talks about AR and VR and 3D. And as they say on their profile, it's a place for the community to get together, learn, and share. So there are talks hosted, like I said, weekly by industry leaders. So for example, you could join in on a conversation potentially with the president of the VR AR Association, Dan Berger. So I don't know how often you might have a chance to do that, but you could have a chance weekly if you join Clubhouse. So if the VR, AR, and 3D sector is your industry of choice, this is the place to come listen in on a conversation with key players in the industry, locally, of course, and perhaps even join in on the conversation. Another example for you, if you're big in the tech industry, or this is where you want to be, the Vancouver Tech Group is a great one to join on Clubhouse. There's actually talks a few times a week about all things related to tech, of course. And as their profile says, they're ground zero for conversations focused on Vancouver and British Columbia's thriving technology sector and community. So if tech is the industry that you want to find your next role in, like I said previously, get in there, listen in on a conversation, or better yet, start one yourself, because that's what their page says. If you're a part of there, get in there. Okay, so here are your key takeaways from today before we jump into the Q&A, which I'm assuming there's some juicy questions in there for us. So for Instagram, remember you're going to want to clean up your account or lock it down. Infuse your Instagram with your own personal brand and aesthetic. Follow those employers that you're very interested in. Again, take a look at their Instagram page. Assess, is this somewhere where I want to be? Follow their hashtags. Again, can't stress that one enough. And if you want, you can go the extra mile and set up alerts so you get a little notification every time they post something new. For LinkedIn, you're going to want to take the time to optimize your profile, use those keywords as organically as possible. Again, if you're not sure which ones to include, find a couple job descriptions online and pluck those out. Get those recommendations going, start trading for them with one another in your network, and also those skills endorsements. Add those personal touches. We want to see your education and about you section, for example. Oh, also a really nice personal touch that you can add is the banner image. That one we really like to see. And finally, when you're ready, turn on the hashtag open to work function so we can find you very, very easily. For Clubhouse, step 1, get invited. Happy to send you a few if you would like, let me know. Set yourself up for success. Set yourself up with a great profile, much like Nicole's. Get connecting, join those groups, and have a conversation. So we're ready. We've saved ample time for questions because we tend to get a lot at these types of talks. So we are ready for you, Nick.
Awesome. Very well done. So we have a series of questions here from the audience. First one, top voted question we have is, in today's expanding digital and virtual space, is it crucial for one to become more digitally active to get noticed by employers, e.g. writing blogs, posting social media, owning your own website, etc.? If so, how should one go about doing this? And the person asking the question says they are relatively inexperienced. Are there other non-digital ways one can shine to employers during their job hunt? Sorry, a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, that's a very big question.
Yeah, maybe we can break it down.
Yeah, okay, so first part of the question is it important to be on digital? Is that it?
Yes, is it crucial to be digitally active? So like writing blogs or posting on social media or your own website.
Right. Having your own blog or having your own website would be highly dependent on the role that you're looking to get. So if you are going into product design, product management, or you want to be a UX UI designer or something like that, where we need to see a portfolio of the work that you've done, having your own like Dribble account, Behance, or setting up your own portfolio on a separate website is really important because we're going to ask for it anyways. So if you can give it to us, it makes it a little bit easier. So I would say for those roles, yes, it is really important to be active and online. Nicole?
Yeah, I would just add that, I mean, one great thing to do to get noticed right now is employers are actually, we're getting a ton of applicants through inbound channels, meaning when you hit apply on a job. So make it really easy to stand out with your resume, maybe consider even a cover letter. And we haven't really talked a ton about that in this session, but for me, that piece doesn't really feel purely digital. But what we're seeing a lot of is a high volume of applicants, and it feels that there is not a ton of time and attention taken on the application. So even just going that extra mile, making sure that both your resume and if you're doing a cover letter, it's really highly customized to the company you're applying for. That goes a long way. And then on top of that, using all of your digital, all the skills in your digital toolkit, like following the company on social, engaging with them, building your relationships that way, attending their sessions at Vancouver Startup Week, all of that is great too.
I think you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said definitely. Couldn't agree more. Next question is, what is the minimum online presence that is required to have an impact if we do not like online attention?
Good question. If you're looking for a job when you're attending Vancouver Startup Week, I would say minimally set up your LinkedIn account. You don't have to have Instagram. You don't have to have Clubhouse. You don't have to have TikTok or anything else. But I would say LinkedIn would probably be the most important one. That's where we're actively looking for candidates. That would be my takeaway from that one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kira. And if it's LinkedIn, just keep it profesh. You don't have to go into your super detailed personal background, but make sure it's professional. And then, as Kira said, think about the role that you're applying for and the company that you're applying for. So obviously, if you're applying to Hootsuite or Later that are in the social media space, they might not be as keen on you if you have a skeleton profile on LinkedIn. But it depends on the type of company and the type of role.
Muted again. Definitely. Thank you. Next question. Am I hurting my applications if I don't post on social media, especially LinkedIn? Is that a must nowadays or just good to have?
You want to go first?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Kira. I think that's go ahead.
You seem very ready with your answer, but sure, I will go ahead.
I'm catching up on the chat. That's
okay, cool. I can't see the chat, so okay. Is it important to post? Not necessarily. Is it important to post? Having, like, for LinkedIn, for example, just making sure that it's up to date. That's really the most important thing. If it's outdated, it's hard for us to find you for the right opportunity. There might be gaps and leave some questions and some holes, not so good. So just making sure your LinkedIn is up to date. You don't have to be posting, you don't have to be sharing. Yeah, I would say keeping it up to date. On Instagram, no, not a necessity to be like actively posting all the time, that's for sure. But having it there, having it be, I would say, relevant as well would be good. Make sure you don't have anything on there that's like really old that you wouldn't want someone potentially seeing. What were you going to say, Nicole?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I always look at candidates who, again, depending on the role, depending on the company, but I always pop on to LinkedIn usually first. And you can, as a recruiter, pop open or go to I think it's called recent history. Or recent posting history or something like that. So if you really wanted to, you could go through and see all the posts that you've liked and engaged with on LinkedIn. So I don't think it's not a must-have, it's not needed, but it could be another opportunity to differentiate yourself.
I would say more important than posting would be getting those recommendations and the skill endorsements.
Yeah, definitely. I myself use social media quite sparingly, but I definitely agree that like LinkedIn is the way to go for looking for jobs and things like that. I found it to be very helpful.
And those recommendations are so awesome. I'm always surprised that people don't take more advantage of them. It's kind of scary to ask somebody for a written recommendation. I think that's got to be the blocker for most people, but they go such a long way.
Yeah, I actually only just learned about those the other day, the recommendations.
Yeah, and if it feels like too big of an ask to ask for a recommendation, you can even you could draft up like talking points for them if it makes it easier and they can review it and approve it. So you can make those barriers a little bit less on them, just so they're like, actually, this is in alignment with what they did. Sure.
Awesome. Next question is, how important is it to show real employees' faces on a company's social media, and is there a right and wrong time to do so?
Mm. So the first part is it right to show employees' faces on social media?
Or sorry, the first part was how important is it?
Oh, how important, sorry. How important is it to show real employees' faces? It's very important. We have seen in companies that we've done recruitment marketing audits for that their most engaged posts are ones of their team members, not of stock people. You can tell, you can definitely
Stock
tell.
photos.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between a stock photo and like an organic like team photo, or even like a team photo shoot, for example. So those are the ones that get the most engagement, the most likes, the most comments, the most shares. So I would say from an organizational standpoint, yes, it is very important from the job seeker's perspective. Like if I was looking at an organization like Instagram and I just saw a whole bunch of stock images, I'd be like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, who are the people that work there? Like, are they not photogenic? I don't know. But I would be genuinely curious, like, why you don't have real people on there. What do you think on the importance of that?
Yeah, totally. And job seekers, as we know, diversity and inclusion, equity and belonging is really important right now. So for employers, I would suggest it has to be authentic to you. It has to really, you want to give job seekers an opportunity to have that transparency to see what it might be like to work at your company, then either opt in or opt out to say, these look like incredible people doing amazing things. Yes, I want to join them. Or maybe they go to your careers page or go to your website or your social and say, actually, no, this doesn't really look like somewhere that I thrive. And what success looks like there isn't really my idea of success. So you want to be able to shine that spotlight. So there's opportunity there in showcasing your team on, for example, a team page, on testimonials. There's a nice example on the Superhuman Careers page right now. They've got this great photo of their entire team on Zoom. So go check it out if you're an employer and you're thinking about how to showcase your team. Superhuman has some great examples. Shopify has some great examples. But this is stuff we love to geek out on all the time. But yeah, the more transparency you can give, the better. Yeah,
Definitely. Follow up from me. How would this extend to like websites, like if for your company? Because I know like a lot of them I see it's all stock photos, and you can definitely tell. So, what would be the case here?
Yeah, for a company website, depending on how new or how old the company is, they may or may not have relevant or up-to-date like team photos to include. So that could be part of what's happening. But from there, we would definitely say have like your team page on the website so that people can see who your team members are, the roles they're in, so you can actually see, is this the team I want to be on? So generally speaking, if like there are stock photos on like other pages of the website, that's usually pretty fine, but usually they have a team page instead. What do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, agreed.
Perfect. Okay, next question is how can we get invited for Clubhouse?
Oh, that's exciting. I don't know what my username is. How do I invite people?
I think they would have to, no, it's by text, isn't it? I'm trying to think back. I think it's a text.
Yeah. Nicole, maybe write down 5 names who want an invite and I'll try and find them.
We also do have our chat that you can join.
Yes.
By the
I can
link
join on my phone.
in the chat right there.
Oh, cool.
Wait.
So you just join it. Anyone can just go in and join your.
Okay, the chat.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I will figure this out. I will post my information. We will get some Clubhouse invites for you people. Don't you worry, we will get you on there.
Nice. And if you can't, if it doesn't work for any reason, feel free to follow up with Kira and I on LinkedIn. We're easy to find.
Yes, actually, that's easier. The 5 people who find me first on LinkedIn and send me a message, I'll invite you.
Viv says you'll need phone numbers and the invite gets texted to them. Oh, it is by phone. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so yeah, okay, yeah. Find me on LinkedIn, first 5 people will get my 5 invites.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Should I add LinkedIn to my resume, or should I just assume an employer will search me there? Why to include it or why not to include it?
Should you add it to your resume? Yes. If you are formatting your resume, you can add it as like a hyperlink and then save your resume as a PDF. Hot tip, upload any resumes to anything you're applying to as a PDF, not as a Word document, because some things will get like mixed up or messed around depending on the type of computer that we have or the software that we're using. So PDF is the #1 way to keep it looking exactly how you intended, and it will keep that LinkedIn link clickable. Will we search for you if you don't have it on your resume? Yes, yes, I will search for you and I will find you. Like, why I have this job? Because I like to find people online. Should have been part of the FBI. Yeah, is it important? No. Will I find you? Yes. If it's on there, is it easier? Yes.
Awesome. Okay, next question. If I have no professional experience, what should I include on LinkedIn under experience?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I would say my follow-up questions to these would be like, what's your educational experience? Have you done any volunteer work? Any courses? There's a lot of things you can add on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would challenge that. If you've I would challenge you on that. There might be a job that you've had in the past that it might not be super related to what you're looking for. But usually we see at least one job listed under LinkedIn. So if you've had a job ever, I would say within reason, put it in there and then use your summary section to compensate so that recruiters don't take a look and immediately assume that you're not the right fit for the role. So in your summary section, in your tagline, in everything else that Kira's talked about, you can make it really clear what you're interested in, what kind of jobs you're pursuing, and why.
Mm-hmm. The about me section would be really helpful too, in that sense. To like tell your story and let us know what's going on.
Thank you. Next up is, how can you interact with potential employers when you're followed by the management team of your current company?
Followed by your current management company on LinkedIn?
Mm-hmm. I would assume it doesn't quite specify, but.
Diversify. Not a good idea. Not a good idea to just engage with that one company. But if that's one of 20 that you're engaging with, I do think that's a good question. You definitely should be mindful of how you're engaging on any public platform like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Perfect. The next one we have here is on social. How do you recommend people engage with prospective employers? And I'm not sure if it differs across platforms.
How can you engage with employers? Engaging with their content. I would also, again, with the caveat being, how large is the size of their organization? Of course, the larger the size, probably the more layers there are between you and whomever is really the head of that company. But if it is a smaller company, there's a good chance that if you're engaging with their content and you're liking and you're commenting and you're sharing, it will work its way up the chain, and your name might get noticed, especially if it's like an applicable role. So I would say, yes, really just engaging as best as you can. What do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, it's really about getting top of mind, building awareness, potentially building a relationship. So we talked a little bit, or Kiera talked a little bit about using Clubhouse. Employers are putting on events in Clubhouse. So first step would be identifying which ones are active there, going to the events, joining the rooms. As Kiera mentioned, sometimes you'll get invited to speak. So being ready to speak with a good question. And in terms of overall engaging on social, I think there's a fine line. You don't want to be, Kiera, maybe you're better at articulating this, but you don't want to be like pushy. You don't want to be on there 24/7. So you do want to be a little bit tactful, a little bit strategic, but think about how awesome it would be if you put in an application, or maybe it's because you know somebody and the job opportunity comes up internally at the company and they say, hey, actually there's this awesome person who might be an amazing culture add and team fit. They're really interested in our mission. They're really excited by what we're doing. How cool would it be if you've already got either that relationship or you're top of mind by the time it gets to that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's the last of the questions that we have that the audience has asked here. So if anyone has any more last minute questions, feel free to drop them in. But to begin to wrap up, I guess I'd just like to ask you both if you have any final takeaways that you'd like the audience to get, any final like summaries of the entire thing. What do you think is the most important point you'd like for them to take away from this presentation?
Kiera, can you summarize this entire talk in one
thing? Okay, my biggest takeaway for job seekers, and it's not in this presentation, is spelling really matters. Do not spell someone's name wrong. Do not spell the company's name wrong. I actually rejected a person this morning, which is not as heartless as it sounds, because they spelled the job title wrong. You didn't care enough to spell the job title right. So spelling, grammar really matters for your resume, for your LinkedIn, all those things. We do keep our eye out for it. So yeah, spelling counts.
Yeah, and I would just say have a great Vancouver Startup Week. We're talking about engaging and all these great things you can put into practice this coming week. So go to the event, be active in the chat, don't be shy, have some fun. Everyone's a little zoomed out right now, so we want to have fun. So engage there, connect with the community. You can do that very easily across social, and really own your experience and try to build those relationships.
There you go.
That's it for me. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And to the whole team.